Ladies and gentlemen, P.O. Texan here, just a South Texas redneck with a logical and pragmatic approach to the bullshit going on Capitol Hill. I was watching the FBI whistleblowers testify at the House Judiciary Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the federal government. I watched the whole thing, and yeah, these boys are something else, man. I got to give them credit. They kicked butt. None of them got out of hand when the Democrats were acting childish and couldn't speak and referencing emails that didn't even, or Twitter accounts didn't even belong, to the whistleblowers, that sort of thing. It's all that Democrat misinformation, just throwing that out there. But you know where I'm going with this. But I listened to Jim Jordan's opening, and I was okay with it. He could have gone farther, but then I listened to the ranking member, which happens to be, I think, from the Virgin Islands, which doesn't even have the opportunity to vote on subjects because they're not actually a state, yet they're in there with their 2 cents worth in, I guess. So why she's on this committee is beyond me if she can't do anything. And I love it how they reference the weaponization of the government, that the Republicans are doing that, when that's exactly what they did, the Hillary campaign, and also the Biden campaign, that sort of thing. A lot of that stuff came out in the Durham report. So the Durham report came out just before this thing, so it kind of get the Republicans a little cocky on things, but you got to give them Democrats credit, man. They don't back off, they don't back down, even if the information and logic is in your face. They're going to close their eyes, turn their head, cross their fingers behind their back, and tell you the same stupid bullshit that they always do. Just keep this shit rolling, because I'm guessing if you hear it often enough, you're going to start believing it. I hope you're not one of those. You got to think outside the box. Really, you need to be able to see over the edge of the box and pay attention to what's going on locally before you listen to what these numbnuts have to say. So I'm going to play the ranking member's opening, and I'm going to pause it from time to time and share my own insights into the subject and see how many lies I can catch her at and call her on. All right, so let's begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning.
All nice and cavalier.
Today is our 4th hearing in this select committee. In our previous 3 hearings, we've heard my Republican colleagues and their witnesses downplay the danger of extremism in America, suggesting that the 2020 election was stolen, and claimed that January 6th was anything other than an attempted insurrection, anything other than domestic terrorism.
Okay, let's stop there. Start right off the bat. I mean, her first or third maybe breath while she was talking. Stolen election. If you just take the vote count itself, November of 2020, yeah, I think Biden won. If you just take the vote count itself. Now, there were video evidence of shenanigans taking place, last-minute ballots showing up at places, that sort of thing. People are supposed to be checking signatures and like zing, 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 zing. There's no comparison going on when you do a zing, 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 zing like that. So, give me a break. It's bullshit. Yeah, there were still shenanigans going on. Now, was it enough to sway the election? I can't speak to that. I wasn't there. However, I was there when these reports came out. The Durham report came out. It was subsequent to the Miller report. And basically, they were saying that the campaign, the Trump campaign, was being spied on by the Biden campaign, and there was collusion between FBI and CIA, the Justice Department, working with social media, with their fact checkers, which turned out to be a bunch of libtard nerds. And then you had them working with mainstream media, which I like to call mainstream fiction, because that's what it is. They're making shit up. It's just mainstream fiction. So, but yeah, they're working with that. Mainstream fiction was sitting there just squashing the Hunter Biden laptop thing, saying it didn't exist. You had 50 plus members of high-ranking government officials all in a letter saying or basically declaring the fact that the Hunter laptop information was had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation, which we all know was bullshit. And then subsequent polls and stuff like that found out that like 17% of the people who voted for Biden in 2020 would not have voted for Biden in 2020 had that realization been honest and upfront. So if you take the campaign plus the vote as a whole, yes, it was a stolen election. And it's my opinion that that's what Trump is talking about when he talks about a stolen election. Because you take the campaign and the vote as a whole. His mind just runs so fast that he can't actually say all of that, so I'm saying it for him. All right? Now let's talk about January 6th. Does anybody really know what an insurrection is? An insurrection is an opportunity to overthrow the government. Now, for successful insurrection, you're going to have a coordinated effort nationwide, including the 2 states that don't border the continental United States. And they're all going to have to get together, and they're going to have to hit the federal buildings and all that at the same time in order to get the government as a whole to capitulate. And then you're going to have high-ranking officials under the gun, and it's not just going to be the people at the Capitol. It's going to be the people at the Pentagon. It's going to be the other people as well, in all the satellite cities or all the satellite offices and what have you that can actually turn out to be the central hub or incident command should something happen, say at the Capitol or the Pentagon or something like NORAD maybe. So it's all protocol. It's part of the NIMS protocol, which came to bear after 9/11. Just look it up. Don't take my word for it. But yeah, that's what's going on here. So for a proper insurrection to take place, it's got to be a coordinated effort on a huge scale, not just the Capitol. Now, there were just a bunch of really pissed off people over there knowing what I know, that it was basically stolen, taking the campaign as a whole and all the disinformation suggested by Democrats and all their government puppets. So, and there were a few of them that just got out of hand, got stupid, and poor Ashley Babbitt, bless her heart, she ended up getting shot. An unarmed woman. And she knew she was a woman, and everybody who knew her and loved her knew she was a woman. And she was unarmed. The only thing she did wrong was have her MAGA hat on and possibly be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, were some of those Capitol Police actually nervous because something was going on? Well, some of them were, I'm sure. The trigger man, I'm sure, really was. And I'm sure there was a couple people trampled and stuff, because you put 1,000 pounds of people pushing one direction, 500 pounds of people pushing the other way, well, 1,000-pound people are going to win. That's just the way it works. But Capitol Police are actually escorting these numbnuts down the hallways. And in the, I don't know what you call it, the atrium, I guess, the rotunda, is that what they call that? They have little rope lines in there where people are supposed to walk, don't deviate from there, These insurrectionists were staying within the rope lines, okay? I saw one of them on a video come out, take a picture, and get right back in. Maybe he's in trouble because he got out of the walk area. But simple fact is that I wouldn't call it an insurrection. You can call it an insurrection, but potato, what do you want to say? Let's listen some more.
From what I can glean about today's hearing, and I'm going to say glean because my Republican colleagues don't really want us to work together. They give us the bare minimum notice for hearings, no subject indicated. We learn who the hearing witnesses is from British tabloids. That's not normal in the House of Representatives.
Who the witnesses are, just a little, English lesson there. Now let's talk about that. Last minute this, last minute that. How about a 4,400-page bill that gets plopped on a member's desk and got told that we're going to vote on this in a couple of days? And there's no way in hell the member can read 4,400 pages in a couple of days. And they'll say, well, you've got staff. Well, newsflash, darling, the staff doesn't vote on this bill, the member does. And that's not how you operate? Give me a break. Next.
One must wonder, are Republicans scared of giving us the information so that we can do our own due diligence on these conspiracy theories, these ideas that they want to put forward? Indeed, today's hearing will be more of the same.
Okay, let's take that for instance. You had three guys up there. The whistleblowers were O'Boyle, Mr. Friend, and Mr. Allen. Well, O'Boyle and Friend actually talked to a group that included Democrats, and the information subsequent to those particular meetings was leaked to the mainstream fiction. And later on, mainstream fiction had to print retractions because the information that was leaked to them turned out to be false and bullshit. So Mr. Allen knew this, and he saw, no, I'm just going to talk to Republicans, period. Guess what? It didn't get leaked to the mainstream fiction. How about that? That's why you don't get the information to get your own discernment. It's his prerogative, dingbat. For real? That's his prerogative. Now, you could be mad, you could be upset because it don't fit your agenda, or you can't leak it to the fiction, but still, life's too short. Put up that shit, woman.
Perhaps they're too far gone to realize that, in fact, this hearing is evidence. As if we needed any more, that MAGA Republicans are a threat to the rule of law in America. Less than 2 months ago, former President Trump, facing mounting investigations into his many alleged crimes, declared that, quote, Republicans in Congress should defund the DOJ and the FBI until they can come to their senses.
Threat to the rule of law. How many of your colleagues on the donkey side of this equation have called for defund the police? And this is local. These are your local constituents that are basically not having police respond, or 15, 20-minute responses to imminent danger, because you defunded them. And you put money into social shit, like you're going to have some unarmed numbnut over there try to talk this chaotic son of a gun out of a house. But defund them. Just categorically defund them. You have some of them want to completely do away with them. No police whatsoever. That is categorically stupid. Now, you go further with that to say that the Republicans want to defund the FBI. Well, I don't know if you know it, girlfriend, but the chair you sit in, this particular oversight committee in the House, that's the only function they got to work with. They don't get to charge anybody with anything because that's not their function. The only thing they have to work with is the purse. So if they have to say, okay, we're going to pull your fund and you don't get any more stays at five-star hotels, you're going to have to stay at the little ones that, you know, might need to take a couple cans of Raid with you. But yeah, we're going to cut your funding down to nothing until you get your shit together. You know, you're going to have to prove that you're worth it. You know, we're not going to pay you to mislead the American people, mislead Congress, defy their oath. Why would you pay somebody to defy their oath? That's utterly ridiculous. So let's listen on.
And we all know that when Trump says jump, the Republicans in the House say, how high?
Let's talk about that. I love that shit. Just for everybody's information, a little bit of history. But the first 2 years that Trump was in office, he had a conservative House and a conservative Senate. And the fella couldn't get shit done. You know why? Because Trump's not a politician. Trump's a businessman. Politicians are worried about political survival, and Trump didn't even take pay for his stint in the office. He had our best interests in mind. Lest we forget, we had the best, the most positive economic gains. I mean, unemployment is nothing. Wages were going up. Gas prices were down. Inflation was nothing. Biden gets in there with, your little cohorts, your little donkey cohorts are all working together. Fields officers, but no, they don't jump because Trump scares Republicans as well. Trump scares the hell out of Republicans. And see, that's the sad part. See, Republicans need to stand together. If Trump becomes a nominee, what they need to do is they need to kickstart the motorcycle and they need to start running around all over the place and say, we back Trump, we back Trump. Let's do this, let's do this. Let's get us back where we belong. And when everybody in the country starts doing well, then maybe the Republicans will continue to have the majorities and do stuff. Now, I'm not saying all the Democrat ideas are bad. Don't get me wrong. There are some good ideas on the Democrat side. But defunding the cops wasn't one of them. Okay? I'm just saying. Allowing statues to be torn down. That wasn't one of them either. Erasing history, not knowing history, you're doomed to repeat it. So, okay, let's play on.
So here we are, on Police Week.
Police Week!
Watching House Republicans jump to lay the foundation to defund law enforcement.
Is foundation an actual word? Oh, never mind.
My colleagues on the far right are on a mission to attack, discredit, and ultimately dismantle the FBI.
Isn't that what y'all did with the local cops? Really? That's an oxymoron. Just another English lesson.
This is defund the police on steroids.
Boom.
As part of their mission, my colleagues have brought in these former agents, men who lost their security clearances because they were a threat to our national security.
See, she got that wrong too. They're not former agents. They are suspended agents who still happen to be employed by the FBI. That's why they can't go get another job, because they have to have permission by the FBI to make a living, because upon their suspension, they lost their pay as well. So they're in limbo. They have to ask family for money and take donations, GoFundMe shit. So who is strong-arming who? Yeah, let's play.
Who, out of malice or ignorance or both, have put partisan agenda above the oath they swore to serve this country and protect its national security.
The oath they swore. Well, I believe it was Mr. O'Boyle that said he swore an oath to the Constitution, not to the FBI. I respect that, Paisan. I respect the hell out of that, and I'm sure the other two feel the same. I surely do feel the same. And you put partisan politics ahead of national security. Have you paid any attention to what's going on the southern border? I'm just kind of curious. I'd really like to see your opinion on the southern border. But yeah, national security, why do you care? Just look at the southern border, and I'm sure you don't do anything about it. You don't talk about it because you don't want to have anything about it, because you don't want your people going, whoa, what if that happened to the Virgin Islands? All of a sudden a bunch of Cubans come slammed us. What would we do with them? Who's going to pay for it? Is the federal government going to do it? Hell no. They're already taxed to the limit. All the people are taxed to the limit. They can't afford anything. They're having budget talks right now, and they all suck at it. I mean, I got a checkbook. I have a balance in the bank I have to work within. Federal government should be the same way. Okay, different argument. Let's listen.
It is everyday American taxpayer who is bearing the burden of this circus-like hearing. A year ago, Republicans promised that if they won control of Congress, they would focus on kitchen table issues like bringing down inflation. Now we got a bait and switch.
My kitchen table, it's a topic at my kitchen table. A lot of friends I know, it's a topic on their kitchen table, along with the cost of the food on said table, the cost of fuel to go to the store to get said food on said table. Rising taxes everywhere you turn. Inability to get stuff because your transportation people have sucked too. I mean, this is nuts. Everything that your donkey asses have done is contrary to Joe the plumber or the P.O. Texan. So don't hand me that horse shit.
Instead of trying to make their constituents' lives better, they're wasting time and taxpayer dollars on endless, fruitless string of partisan investigations.
Partisan investigations, lest we say the Biden campaign colluding with the FBI, DOJ, and mainstream fiction and social media. Yeah, lest we forget that, huh? Lest we forget that. And how much was it for between the Mueller report and the Durham report? Somewhere in the neighborhood of $65 million. And the end result of $65 million was that you were the guys who were doing it and not Trump campaign? That there was absolutely positively no evidence whatsoever for all this bullshit? And you're going to sit there and tell me and try to explain to me and try to make me believe that the Republicans are the ones that are responsible for this shit? Stop.
Instead of working to make America more secure, they're manufacturing opportunities to attack law enforcement agencies, even and especially on the same week that we are remembering those law enforcement personnel who lost their lives in the line of duty.
And how many of those law enforcement lives that were lost in the line of duty were your Democrat constituents responsible for? I'm going to leave that wide open.
We are assembled today to hear conspiracy theories and speculations. We're going to hear alternative facts, actions, and events taken far out of context. When they lack support for a baseless allegation, get this, my Republican friends will cite the absence of evidence of a cover-up. And any suggestion that Chairman Jordan's witnesses are anything but victims of the oppressive dystopian government will be met with mock outrage.
I don't know about you, but look on my face isn't mock outrage, is it? It's outrage Mach 1. How about that noise? Yeah, I'm pissed. I'm pissed that our federal agencies have become an arm of the damn Democrat Party as opposed to be an arm of America security. That's exactly what's happened here.
So we all know what we are about to see.
Mm-hmm.
The real question, the real thing that Americans need to be focused on is why. My Republican colleagues would like me and others to believe that they've suddenly found religion when it comes to misconduct in law enforcement.
Here it comes.
Give me a break.
Here it comes.
When the FBI is rifling through personal correspondence of people of color.
There you go.
When law enforcement tries to push policies to limit the freedom of people practicing a different religion.
Race card.
Or unjustly pursuing people in cars who look like Philando Castile or my children, or who are just going about their business, or breaking down the doors of people's homes like Breonna Taylor. Do you think my Republican colleagues care about that?
Race card. I was wondering when she first started talking how long into this thing the race card was going to be played. Well, in all fairness, of those 3 whistleblowers, 2 of them look to be straight up white. One of them looks to be non-white. But that's part of the problem. We have to tag everybody. Caucasian American, Black American, or African American, Hispanic American, Asian American. We're all Americans. Why do we have to be qualified? You know what separates everybody? Let me let you know what separates everybody. I'm going to throw, I know you're one of these follow the science people, right? And I'm going to throw a little biology in on that shit, okay? It's melanin. It's the amount of melanin in our system which gives us the pigment of our skin. That's the difference. Black folks have more melanin than I do. Hispanics have more melanin in their system than I do. Hispanics have less melanin in their systems than black folks do. But they're all red on the inside. Being a medic, I've seen the insides of just about every race there is. And guess what? We're all red on the inside. And everybody out here that I deal with, I deal with all races. We party together. We tailgate together. We play sports together. We drink together. We dance together. We marry. We date. It doesn't matter where we're at. Now, I submit to you that if everybody up there would quit qualifying what kind of American you are and just say American, things would be so much better for everybody. But you can't do that, because unless you're driving a wedge between us in the big cities and shit like that, making victims out of people, then you have no argument, because your policies suck. Your policies literally suck. Okay, I'm sorry. Rant over. Let's listen.
They don't bat an eye But when the FBI investigates conservative Christian white men who are actually threatening violence, suddenly my Republican colleagues are rushing to defund the police.
Boom.
The reason we're here today is because Chairman Jordan wants to make America Trump again. My Republican colleagues aren't here representing their constituents, not my constituents. They're representing Donald Trump.
Bullshit.
They're acting as his defense attorney, his campaign operative, and everything in between.
Well, like I said before, Trump scares the hell out of Republicans. Trust me. Trust me. He's a businessman. See, that was what his appeal to me was, is the fact that he wasn't a politician. I don't think our founding fathers wanted a politician to be a full-time job. There's going to be average working people going in there in the evenings and the weekends and taking care of business and then go back to work Monday morning. I really believe that's the way it was supposed to be. See, the founding fathers were farmers and that sort of thing, ranchers, that sort of thing. They didn't want to do it full time. It was supposed to be a part-time job. Kind of like our city officials here where I live. You know, they meet Tuesday evenings. Now, you guys might have to meet every evening, but it shouldn't be a full-time job. That's why you think you're above the rest of us, the pawns. See, ladies and gentlemen who's listening to this that's not in government, you're a pawn. You are a subject of their conversation. That's all you are. And quite frankly, you're expendable if your extinction happened to help their cause. And if you don't believe that, I'm not going to call you stupid, but you really ought to revisit the concept.
This committee, this select committee, is a clearinghouse for testing conspiracy theories for Donald Trump to use in his 2024 presidential campaign.
As he should.
What's clear from these hearings is that Donald Trump knows just as well as I do that the danger to him and his MAGA movement is the rule of law. That's why this committee is working so hard to undermine the rule of law. That's why Donald Trump asked Jordan and others on this committee to waste our time and taxpayer money, asked the Speaker of the House to attack the Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, for having the audacity to indict the former president on 34 counts of fraud.
Okay, let's talk about Bragg and his infinite wisdom. His predecessor said there was nothing there. That's what his predecessor said. He said there was nothing there. And this dingbat that sued Trump for rape, if you will, actually petitioned the government there to extend, the statute of limitations so she could do her thing. Now, Trump claims he don't know her. I don't know if that's true or not, don't really care. The simple fact was that he was found not guilty of rape, which is what she was claiming. And but yet he still owes $5 million even though nothing happened. That's what floors me. Supposedly defamed her. Well, she kind of defamed herself, but that was evidence that the judge, the liberal-ass judge, would not let in the hearing. Now go figure. Yeah, no impartiality there in New York. All right, let's go.
And that's why this committee hasn't given up its stolen election talking points.
Boom.
And now here we are today, going after the FBI on Donald Trump's behalf. This is not a committee on the weaponization of government. This is a committee for the weaponization of government. This select committee is clearly focused on undermining law enforcement so extremists can undermine our elections through corruption and control our government through threats of political violence. I hope Democrats, as well as Republicans, watch and listen this morning, because this hearing will demonstrate far better than any opening statement ever could that outside of Washington, the real divide in America is not between Democrats and Republicans. It's between people who love this country, who believe in the rule of law, who want to follow the law, and those who will fight to make our union more perfect, and the people who want to tear down the rule of law and betray our Constitution for personal as well as political gain. I yield back.
Let's talk about that. All right. The Durham report said that 50 plus members, I think it was 51, but 50 plus members signed this document saying, or alluding to, that the Hunter Biden laptop had all the earmarks of being Russian disinformation, which they, at the time of their signing this, knew was bullshit. Well, those guys took an oath to that office they uphold, right? To the office they hold. They just broke it. They broke their oath. These three gentlemen before you today are whistleblowers telling you that they were breaking. Maybe not necessarily on that subject, but other subjects that they'll get into, or that they got into. Well, one of them, what his name, Mr. O'Boyle, specifically said, I took an oath to defend the Constitution, not the FBI. Buddy, I admire that. Mr. Friend, Mr. Allen, I admire your fortitude. I admire your sacrifice. You are the bomb. It's that simple. These guys can't hide from this shit. Now, be careful. Be very careful, because I think what's going to happen is the DA is going to go ahead and throw charges in there and quick like a bunny rabbit, get it, and have a non-prosecution. So, what do you call it? There's a term for it. It's not double down. It's, what's the term? Double jeopardy, that's the word. Double jeopardy, so you can't be tried for the same thing. Well, if I was the Republicans, I wouldn't even let them bring charges. I just keep it stirred up until we get a Republican in office, and then we can do it. Because these people need to go down. These people need to go down hard. And the ones that got jobs at the mainstream fiction, yeah, they need to be pulled out of there, and they need to be prosecuted as well. And that little whore that Strzok had, I think they were scratching each other's backs and stuff like that, just seeing who could hate Trump the worst. They were straight up about it. That's the funny part. All right, P.O. texting out.